which is where we would normally have it. But if I do that, look what happened.
Nasty.
Oh God, something's wrong. If you see that, Command Z.
That happens when I use the healing brush tool.
That is correct. Turn off sample all layers.
No, on the healing brush tool, not the spot healing brush tool.
You're not using the healing brush tool here. Are you on the texture layer?
Yes.
Yes.
What if I want to use the healing brush tool?
You do not use the healing brush tool in this. You will use the spot healing brush, the patch tool, oops, or the clone tool, which we haven't looked at yet. Yes, we're gonna get there.
I keep on thinking I have to push in or complete the patch.
In order to do that, all you're gonna do is what we were doing before. So let's say I want to get rid of this line here. Now remember what we're looking at when we're on the high layer. We are literally just looking at texture. So when I move this away, actually did fine. Sometimes it will leave an impression of color behind. So her lines aren't bad. But let's open up.
I think if we're wrong.
Oh, girl.
She says, oh.
So we're gonna open her up.
Listening.
Caps.
That might be caps.
All right.
Bonded feet right there. That's weird, but that's okay.
She's still beautiful.
Just like Christine
Very
said.
nicely.
I am beautiful.
Blur.
Man, that's my letter. Did you do the offset? You did.
I did not.
That's why. Yeah, you did. Subtract? Is that right? Oh, you're on the wrong layer.
There we go. Lights. All right. So what if the lines are a little bit heavier?
Man.
You went from, oh, okay, to damn.
What do we do? We're going to use our spot healing brush still. And we're going to take that line out. But it's still going to leave sort of this weird faint impression behind. So then we come back to our painted layer using this time I'm going to use the healing brush. Make sure we're on current and below. And I'm going to come back and clean that up. So it's a process of going back from the spot healing brush to clean the texture to the paint. Screw it, brush tool, option, and painting it back in.
Color that
The color, yeah. So high texture.
is. Is this our homework?
Oh.
I duplicated a layer.
Oh.
It's like right where I need a mouse pad. I'm not doing, just leave it, it's fine. It's fine. So patch tool we can use as well. We'll circle, we'll patch, and we'll paint.
Circle patch.
Circle, patch, paint, circle, patch, paint, over and over. And we go back to the high layer, J for my J, patch tool, shift J to switch between tools to get to my spot healing tool, clean up lines, clean up lines. Now, we're gonna look a little bit later about how to really start fixing certain things. For example, this right here, right? It's not bad, but we can make that smooth. And one of the ways that we're gonna do that, and I do not want you guys to do that from here. I just want you to kind of work with the spot healing, patch tools, painting right now. But what we'll be able to do in the future, like next week, is we'll be able to smooth this thing out. So, for example, I'm gonna select an area of texture. I'm going to copy that area of texture, right? You can see I got real nasty there. I'm going to clip it. Change the blend mode to normal.
You get cancer?
And then I'm going to move this into the area that I want replaced, like so. Like, let's say there, right? You can see I actually have texture. I like just took off her skin texture, right? Can put that there. I'm gonna apply a mask, and I'm gonna mask out the part that I don't want. Brush, low. Actually, I'm gonna make that a little bit heavier so I can get it done.
What's the benefit of doing that? What's wrong with the flyaways?
Nothing. Right? Now, I still have color here. How do I fix that? Well, I come into my layer, and I brush tool, option, sample, brush. Ooh, shit. How did you do that?
You're flowing off past here.
Oh, that's right, my crap's way out. Spot, or healing brush. Let's use healing brush, I like doing that. Click, color, click, color, click, color. And now she doesn't have flyaways. Oops. But I maintained the texture. Does that make sense, sort of, why I would do that?
No.
Okay.
I like the flyaways too.
For someone like,
I understand the concept.
I do get the concept, but what do those hairs do to you?
it's not perfect. It's not perfect, is what the problem is. And when you're like, you know, you're retouching for Vogue, or you're retouching for, you know, some high fashion things, it has to be perfect.
I'll get rid of him then, but this woman is obviously not perfect.
No. All right. So let's turn.
She might be very, very sweet.
All right. So one other tool that we need to look at, which we can use in a variety of different ways, whether we're using it here or whether we're using it for other things, is the clone stamp. Clone stamp can be done in a variety of different ways, and we should know how to use it kind of with the tools that we've already used. First thing we're going to do is, like we did with regular retouching, we make a new blank layer. So just ignore all of this stuff, right? Just ignore me, for the moment, right? Just imagine this was a new file and we just started our regular retouch, okay? So in this layer, we would have our retouch. We'd have our patch layer in between. Honestly, this does not matter whether you do it on the blank layer or you do it in the patch layer. I'm going to do it in the blank layer. This is our clone stamp. Clone stamp. We look up top to see the settings. Check our brush. Again, we want 0% hardness. Mode needs to be normal. Opacity and flow need to be changed according. Again, I like to start with something low, but maybe not 20/20, maybe something like 30/50. That's just arbitrary though. Sometimes I use 100/100 because I just want to get it done. We want aligned, and then this current and below will depend on where you're grabbing from. Current and below is typically the easiest one to do, and that's fine. Sometimes though, we just do current layer. We rarely use all layers. This works very much like the healing brush. I'm going to hold Option to source from an area. Is it giving me my preview? Yeah, it can kind of see that it gives you the preview, right? Ew, looks like a piece of dead skin.
Look out.
Right, you can see that the option's giving me a preview. You can't necessarily see it when you're over certain things, but you hold Option to source, and then you click. With a low opacity and low flow, I'm gonna have to click a whole bunch. Yeah. It's not the best. One of the things that you have to do with the clone stamp is constantly resource. Because otherwise you're going to do what I did right here, which is make that discoloration. So you have to kind of click, 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 click.
A rapid fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you gotta think like this, okay?
This is where the Wacom comes into a really helpful situation. It'll be pressure sensitive to how much comes out when you're cloning, so you can come back and dial in certain parts and make it not look so crazy discolored. I do not like using the clone stamp for stuff like this. It has a high potential of doing weird stuff. And so in order for these blemishes, I most of the time will use things like my patch tool, my spot healing, or my healing brush. All right, so another way we can use the clone stamp is actually in our painting layer. If we are on clone stamp and we use current and below, it will work for color as well. Just like we did with the healing brush. So in your painting layer, or your color layer, whatever, you essentially have three options: your paintbrush, your healing brush, or your clone stamp. Clone stamp, there's no trick to it. It's just trying it, screwing up, and trying again. A lot of times you'll be working on something and you're like, I probably should just start all the way over. And that is probably the right option, is to just try again. You will not use the clone stamp very well, and you're just gonna have to get used to it. So, we'll play with the clone stamp a little bit more as we get a little bit farther on. But right now, you can use it to paint, or you can use it to clean up blemishes. So, what I want you guys to do this
I'll
week,
research her.
what I want you guys to do this week is, I think I want you to.
I'll retouch grandma.
You can do grandma if you want.
And you don't want to do that baby. One of those babies in the small sack hanging out. One of those things.
Did he?
Yeah, that
Let's do.
That's actually